The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters. Greetings and welcome back to the Personal Safety Show. We are continuing the conversation with Severin Henderson from Department 3C and the CFD, Chicago Fire Department. How did you come up with the name 3C? I know department, I get that part, but what's the 3C represent?
I have a couple of other buddies. If you're my friend to the end. Even people I just meet, like you and I, we'll talk forever.
Absolutely. Agreed.
I had some buddies that I worked with when I was first starting off in the fire service, and we were all testing in different places. In fact, they came here to test with me in Chicago, and I was the only one to get the call. But we were from Cleveland, all three of us. They ended up going to Columbus to work as firefighters in Columbus. I'm here in Chicago, and Cleveland is always near and dear to my heart. So that was 3Cs. And so I pitched them on it, and they said, that sounds good, but we're going to do something a little bit different, which is totally fine, totally cool with me. But I created it initially for us three to have a T-shirt company, just something small. And the department, right, because of the fire department.
Right.
It went from there to being about Cleveland, Columbus, and Chicago it turned into Care, Concern, Connect. Okay. That's what the C's mean, Care, Concern, Connect. Sometimes we speak about clients, customers, and connection. But every time I try and put a strict definition on the C, another good C word comes up.
So we found each other through the speaking program that we're both involved in called Speaker Lab. What topics do you speak about?
Mental health is my jam. That, like I said, I was getting to a point where the burnout, and it wasn't just from the runs, it was really from the shared trauma. I'm a very empathetic person. I just absorb people's feelings. I can read a room. I can feel different things. One of the things that I always bring up, especially in my talks, is gunshot wounds with someone that's probably going to pass away. And a lot of times I work in the urban environment, so sometimes people see these people as bad guys because they might be drug dealers or gang members, anything like that. I don't really look at them like that. I just look at them as people. But certain people vilify them. And this person could be the worst person ever, but when they're down, somebody's heard from somebody else that this person isn't down, and every time their phone would start ringing. It would be like their family member, their mother, their brother, somebody calling to see if they're okay, because through the grapevine of the hood or the neighborhood, they've heard something's happened. So that shared trauma contributed to my look for mental health. I got to a point where it was hard for me to even go to work and could be down, and just the fact that their phone starts ringing always used to hurt and touch me in a certain way. So a lot of times is not just firefighters, but men, we like to bottle our emotions up and not really share with other people. I got to the point where I had to share, and that's what I emphasize in my talks and my speeches. Just mental health is so imperative and so important for you to be okay. It's like the airplane. You can't help anybody else if you can't help yourself first. So you got to put that mask on yourself first before you help anybody else. And I was in such bad shape that I wasn't able to even help myself. And I said, once I get out of this funk, I want anyone to know that they don't have to feel like this. And there's a place to turn to. There are resources. There are things that you can do to help you get your mental health back on track.
What type of events have you spoken at?
I'm a member of 2 speaking organizations, because once I first started trying to speak and learning through the Speaker Lab, I needed to speak more. And I'm still working on my speaking, so I joined Toastmasters, and I joined another group that I can't remember their name right now.
Is it Engaging Speakers by any chance?
Engaging Speakers, yes, okay. That's what it is, Engaging Speakers. And I speak at those events, so the Toastmasters has all been online, but engaging speakers, I get to speak in front of audiences, and that's where I practice, try and craft and hone and get my message to exactly where I would like it to be so that I can start promoting it on a more grand scale.
Okay, very good. And I think that you'll find, I'm kind of at the beginning of the whole keynote thing. I've done several. I have found that you're never done. There's always something new to be added.
There's always work to be done.
Yes.
I'm with that.
Yes. So, and that makes it stay current. So I kind of want to touch on the real culture of the Chicago Fire Department. At one time, and this is actually, I walked the halls that you work in. I went to Northwestern University's Supervision of Fire Personnel, which is a 2-week course. It was at the Chicago Fire Academy. Fantastic people that were there, absolutely. There was one guy, I think he was on Squad 3. It was a living legend, and I can't remember his name. He's retired since then. But just the knowledge and the experience in the room was fantastic. While I was there, they kind of indicated that there's just no other way to say this, at least in my mind, that paramedics were like second-class citizens. Is that still the case? You're laughing.
I'll make this one short. Yes.
Okay.
When I was talking about the apparatus, and I said, at least on this side, I didn't mention the paramedic side and the ambulances. And it's not that we try and make them, at least me, I am a paramedic for the state, and I came on as a paramedic, so I feel their pain. And yes, they are the backbone of the department, if you will. They carry all the heavy weight and do all the heavy lifting. We just help them do the heavy lifting when they call us to help them out on an assist or something. But paramedics get beat up pretty bad. I don't know any other way to put it other than that, too. Like I said, I don't look at paramedics as second-class citizens, but the service as a whole kind of does.
Yeah, it's cultural. It's not individual. I was not at all labeling you as that.
Oh, no. Yeah, I got you.
And then what about the rivalry between police and fire in the city? Does that still exist? And how do you guys work together? Because the mission is the same. The tactics are different. But the whole mission is to keep people safe and uninjured and respond when they are injured. So is there still this, and I say rivalry, it's on some levels it's actually hatred. What would you say?
To me, because I don't really operate that way, no, there's no rivalry. I love cops when I see them. A lot of people that I know and in my life, they hate the police like NWA, but to this day. But for me, no, not all cops are great. Just in the aspect of what we see on the news, not all firemen are great. Not all auto workers are great. Not all lunch ladies are great. Not all anybody is great. So I don't particularly have any hate or ill will towards the cops. I love the cops. I went to police academy. I understand what they do. And as far as our rivalry, so 2 things. Right now, we're in a new building over on the west side of the city. It's called the Bauer and Plummer Police and Fire Training Academy, and it's named after a sergeant, I believe. He was shot in the line of duty, and a firefighter that was one of our candidates that died in a fire. And we're in that building sharing it together. And so everybody moving in, grumbling, oh, it's going to be terrible. Oh, it's going to be bad. The cops going to hate us. I don't get that from any of them. I'm a kill 'em with kindness type of person. So if a cop grumbles at me, I'm going to just smile in his face even harder. I'm going to say good morning even more, because it takes a whole lot less to have a positive and a happy disposition than to kind of keep up that facade of anger. And then the second story, well, I guess it's 3 stories. We do still have a boxing match. So we do the fights. We've won the past couple of years. And it's funny because it's less of us. It's about 5,000 of us, and it's about 10 to 15,000 of them. But we always got the more athletic people and beat them up. And then the football team. We have dueling football teams, and we play each other. Baseball teams, too. But now they're talking about, because the membership is kind of dwindling on both teams, so they're talking about having a combined team to face other cities. So for me, we're in that building together.
One of the things that I've seen recently is advertising Naxalone, which is Narcan, and now it's available to people. Should regular people carry it? And I'm asking because I'm very curious. I don't have any yet, but they're giving them out like candy.
That is a great question that I have never thought hard about. I know that they have it in vending machines a lot of time.
Right.
Just to kind of think about it quick and think of it on my feet, I guess it's kind of like condoms. If you were a part of the HIV and AIDS wave of life, condoms were everywhere. They were promoting them on TV. I remember the first time I asked my mother what one was, and she looked at me like I was crazy, but she still showed me what it was. But just the fact that, you give these away and you pass them out, and it's supposed to help the problem. I guess it's kind of admitting people are going to do what they're going to do. People are going to procreate. And unfortunately, as long as these hard drugs and opioids are around, people are going to do them to one extent or another. So why not try and save their life? I don't know if I would necessarily be a person that carried any. Like, it's not like I have none in my car and I see somebody down and just go shoot it up their nose to make sure they're okay. But I think if you're in a high traffic area, having the availability of it, and especially they give it to cops too now, I think that's a good idea. I don't know how effective it'll be.
So what I hear you saying with the comparison is you want to have it in case you get screwed. I got a good joke finally.
That was your best one. That could go into a stand-up routine.
Oh, yeah, nobody would laugh at me. All right, cool. Thank you for laughing at my joke. I thought it was pretty clever. What final thoughts can you share with the listeners, maybe that I didn't ask about your business, about the fire service, about serving others, or about mental health?
You hit the nail on the head when you said serving others. I found out and I figured out that serving and helping others will always get you to the goal where you would like to be. So if it's something that you want to have happen in your life or something that you're looking forward to, the more you help other people, the more you're really helping yourself. And not to say that in a selfish way, but it's just true. So that's what I try my best to do. I give a lot of the stuff I do away for free, especially speaking engagements, coaching, mentoring. The course that I'm selling, as far as books goes, I am selling it, but it's such a low price. It's $27 to get the course, and then it's $9 a month for coaching after that. But you can really get everything out of the initial course just by getting it. And if you would like to look into that, that's found at another www.3C presents. That's the abbreviation for Department 3C. So the letter D, the number 3, the letter C presents. And that's a web app. So if you look at it on your computer, then it prompts you to download the application. But I try my best to serve not just my community and myself, but I really try and serve my family and make them proud of me. And like I said, if I can help somebody do something, it helps me, it helps them, and it gets me closer to any goals that I'm trying to reach and obtain.
Severn, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to our listeners. Severn's main website is department, the number 3, the letter C.com. And if you'd like to reach out to him, I'm sure he would love to hear from you. Severn, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
I want my listeners to know that this is my dream, teaching people about safety. If it weren't for you, if it weren't for my listeners, I couldn't live my dream. So on behalf of my family and myself, I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to live my dream. And I also want to continue to live my dream, and I'm excited to continue to spread the word of safety. Recently, I began a new service as a conference keynote speaker. So if anyone would like for me to speak at future events, or if anyone knows of an introduction or would like to discuss how we can work with one another, I'd love to do just that. The keynote speaking website is www.stress2logic.com. That is STRESS, the number 2, LOGIC.com. If you're aware of any conference speaking engagements where you'd like to have me speak, I'd love an introduction. You can always share my electronic business card, which is Marcus Melnick, MarcusMelnick.com. Now, back to the show. I have some news that I am absolutely excited about. Recently, I came in contact with Dr. David Yamini from Wake Forest University, and he teaches an undergraduate class there called Sociology of Guns. He is offering a free online version of this class. The class is called 10 Essential Observations on Guns in America, and it's going to run for 7 weeks starting March 25th at 5 p.m. If you are interested in signing up, what you can do is you can send me a message via my website, marcusmelnick.com. I'd love to be a fellow classmate in this course with you. So please, if you're interested, sign up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to re-welcome Chris Henning to the show. Chris is the Republican nominee who's running for the Illinois House of Representatives in District 59 against incumbent Dan Dedich. And Election Day is March 19th. Early voting is open. Chris, welcome back to the show. Thank you for taking the time again to talk to our listeners.
Hello, and thank you again for the opportunity to speak to you. It's a great pleasure to do so.
Why now? Why are you running for office in Illinois?
I just finally hit a point where I was seeing too much that was going too far astray. When you have a group that seems to be talking in an echo chamber, when you have a group that can do as they will, when they will, you have problems. A lot of voices of society are left out. A lot of the questions that should be asked are not asked. And that creates problems. It creates bad legislation. You get knee-jerk legislation that...
For the people that are listening, can you just do a very high-level description of the borders of what your district would be?
The 59th district runs from Park City in the north through a slice of Gurnee down into Libertyville and Mundelein, down to Vernon Hills, a slice of Lincolnshire, down to Buffalo Grove, and into a northern small slice of Wheeling and Cook County.
In this particular race between you and Dan Dedich, what are some of the issues that you guys are facing?
What I'm looking at is issues of fiscal sanity returning to the state. I'm looking to renew the support that law enforcement traditionally has had, to support the Illinois and the state, or the Illinois state and the federal constitutions. Again, with the supermajority acting as it has, we've run into many instances, I feel, where the constitutions, both state and federal, have been thrown to the wayside for expediency and for personal agendas, even knowing that they're not constitutional in the first place. But if you hold all of the cards, you can delay that process, and in delaying those processes, you are working against the rights of the citizens, and that's not a good thing.
It kind of segues into what I call legal sanity, and recently some of the laws have been not sane or insane. So I wanted to talk about...
There are many, and again, when you do have the supermajority, you're going to have this.
Right. So I'd love to talk about PICA, the Protect Illinois Communities Act, which I now call the PU Act. You can use your imagination there. Has it affected public safety?
I have been looking for hard statistics. I haven't found anything that can give me any sort of confidence that this has achieved any goal. While homicides in Chicago dropped in 2023, that was on par with the national average post-pandemic. I saw no obvious numbers in support of a reduction in homicides or shootings attributable to, say, weapons in the .223 caliber, the so-called assault weapons that were banned. I would think that had there been real statistical evidence that the act had achieved what they wanted it to, they would be screaming from the rooftops. See, this great benefit has befallen the state of Illinois. It's not there. There is no empirical data that I'm seeing readily available to support, the proposed or the statement on which they relied to pass the Tech Illinois Communities Act.
How do you think this is all going to end up? How do you think the Supreme Court, and again, this is opinion, I'm just asking because
right. And I think ultimately it will be taken up by the Supreme Court. I think there've been too many now, but you are getting a number of jurisdictions that are basically thumbing their nose at the Supreme Court. It would seem that you have the Seventh Circuit sort of going rogue in its reading of the Supreme Court precedents. I do like what I am seeing out of Judge McGlynn. There is a judgment on the merits. So far, we've had Judge McGlynn's placement of the temporary restraining order stricken by Seventh Circuit, and then their refusal or their reading of the case law, which seems very forced to come up with a position that seems very twisted in its reading of Heller and Bruin. But Judge McGlynn's questions seem very clear as to how items are defined. Is the item a, quote, arm as defined by Heller and Bruin? Is there a rational basis for civilians to select a particular arm for use in self-defense in the home? You have the answers put before the court for the court to rule on the fact-based answer. That is going to be a lot harder to substantiate following a logical path, though I don't know if the Seventh Circuit would recognize it when it eventually appealed by either side but I think it does present a fantastic record for its arrival at the Supreme Court.
So back to the campaign. Can you share what your website and contact information is?
You can go to Henning, HENNING, FOR, the number 59.com. There's also Henning for 59 on Facebook as a private group. You should be able to reach me through the website or through Facebook.
Do you have yard signs?
I have not gotten yard signs yet.
Okay.
I need to get some cash flowing in the way of donations. It's Citizens for Chris Henning. You do have early voting live. I voted the other day. There are any number of organizations that have the schedule and locations up that you can vote early. I encourage you to vote. Too many people you hear complain about what's going on and asked, did you vote? Did you use your voice? Did you speak up? And the answer is no. There's too much at stake right now. Too many people in this state looking to take away your rights because they don't feel that you as an individual are able to think and act in a responsible manner. These are the people passing our laws right now. We need to take the state back. We need to have a voice that's there speaking that says, when you do these things, there are consequences. It was just this morning a report that a byproduct currently of the PICA's ban is a loss of up to $9 million in revenue to the state. Was that accounted for? Also, there's a reduction in the amount that is being received from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So let's see, what did it say? In recent years, other firearms have contributed about 30% firearms and ammunition taxes based on data from ATF reported applying this rate to the 23.8 million equals about 7.1 million in funding that could be associated with other firearm sales. So looking at a reduction in that money from the federal government there of another 7.1 million in reduced funding to the state. Actions have consequences. While I'm in favor of removing the grocery tax, which Governor Pritzker has generously, in quotation marks, offered to do, villages and municipalities suffer when that's done. There seemed to be no issue in suspending it during the pandemic, yet if you do this, you need to make the municipalities whole in some way, shape, or form. We're not looking at whole pictures. We're looking at little bits and pieces. When we have all of these problems in the state of Illinois, we have Representative Dittich seeking a bill to ban African serval cats. Now, how many people have been killed? They haven't. How often are there issues with these? I've found 2 in the last several years in the state of Illinois. Yet this is a primary concern to initiate this legislation now. Don't we have greater problems in the state of Illinois that should be drawing the efforts of our legislators? These are the byproducts that we need to work on, that we need to fight. We need to be getting the voices of the people out and say enough is enough.
Folks, his website again is Henning, Henning, 4FOR, the number 59.com. I would encourage you to check out the website, see what the campaign is all about. And like Chris said, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, go out, cast your ballot, and make a positive impact upon the state. Chris, thank you very much for taking the time once again to talk to our listeners.
Oh, no problem. I enjoy it very much. And hopefully I can be out and about soon, meeting the people in the district and outside of the district. Pay attention, learn the issues, be an educated voter.
We have monthly concealed carry license CCL classes in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Dates can be seen at firearmmentor.com/classes. If you have a question, we can be reached at www.firearmmentorcard.com. That is our electronic business card, has all of our contact information and links in it. It's the easiest way to get a hold of us. Until next time, stay safe out there, and I'll see you at the shooting range. This is Marcus Melnick from Firearm Mentor signing off. The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters.